I saw this game a few months before it came out on Twitter. I think it was Devolver Digital's page, and I saw a brief video and kinda acknowledged that the game looked really interesting. Kinda forgot about it until I logged into Steam and saw on the front page. It clicked with me that it's the same game I saw before, but I still didn't really look into it, but I did drop it onto my wish list. The summer sale came around and I decided to grab it and I booted it up, expecting a decent game. I mean, it's by Devolver Digital and all that. And wow, I was completely blown away by this game. I underestimated it to the point where my expectations were blown out of the water. Also, if you're one of these people who are very spoiler sensitive, I'd be careful watching this. It's a 2D retrowave hack and slash game where he plays a swordsman who has a great design, and he has powers. He can deflect bullets, slow down time, throw things so hard that they become lethal. It can be related to Hotline Miami 1 and 2. And also, Fury and Sekiro. Because both characters in both games have swords and ponytails. Okay, now let's see why I really like this game. I am a major fan of the 80s synthwave and retrowave style. The neon blue and pink lights and trippy vibes you get are beautiful. Additionally, I'm a fan of pixel art. You can see that indie games absolutely abuse the pixel art style because of the lower budgets, but the fluid animations and detail have me loving the animations being played out, despite them being in simple 2D. The soundtrack of this game is so good. There's so much variation and intense music that suits the speed and aggression that you will be fighting with. But then, you'll be tearing up because the soundtrack tugs at your heartstrings with a major story detail that accompanies it. Trust me, I don't ever really act emotionally to music that tries to make you feel emotions at the time, but these songs weren't sad. They were calm, relaxed, and slow, and paired with the story, it made me actually feel something. Plus, there's literally a song for everything in this game. There's hard bass in it, which speaks for itself. I will leave a link to the soundtrack in the description, but there are definitely spoilers in the names and titles. Okay, so this one's definitely a mixed bag in regards to what people think. I personally was a fan. I love the characters, now some of them actually warmed your heart and got under your skin. It gave the characters actual stakes and made them feel like humans in a world that was falling apart. I genuinely think that the characters like the ones written in here are the perfect way to make protagonists, antagonists, and villains. They all have their own quirks and characteristics that don't make them feel copy and paste, and I admire that nothing is better than being able to recall parts of the story because they stuck with you. I think a majority of people will agree that the gameplay is amazing. The combat is flowy and smooth, almost like a choreographed dance. You feel like a skilled swordsman who is trained to go against all odds. The controls are easy to pick up and hard to master, the rolling feels great and highly responsive, the slashes feel satisfying to land, you can using it to deflect a bullet right into a guard that shot at you is fantastic. You can take the game at a controllable pace, whether you like to methodically plan out your attack route or just rush in like a maniac and hyper-aggressively cut down your enemies. Even for a very gritty and serious game, there is no lack of humor to be found. Using a mix of pop culture and understanding the audience, the devs were able to make a game that's not only a blast to play, but will actually make you stop to read some of the dialogue between characters. The receptionist, who serves as comedic relief in 2 levels, is actually an enjoyable character. She's basically a weeaboo who's really nice. She admires you and helps you out. The little girl is a classic child, naive, young, and always saying odd or funny things that makes you want to take care of her. There are some unique levels in this game, each with their own respective theme and gimmick that makes them unique. Studio 51 has sub-levels that play homage to the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey with 3001: A Space Uncertainty, and Quiet Hill, referencing Silent Hill. They even have a rip-off Pyramid Head, which is really cool. Not only that, but there are some amazing levels that are completely different, with some themes that are amazing. For example, the motorcycle level has the theme Driving Force Neon Fog. The club level, where you have to be stealthy, has a great EDM background that's catchy as hell. Overall, the placement of throwables and the flowing, speedy design that will make you zoom around like the Flash makes the levels a blast to play. Unfortunately, with all goods comes a bad. Even with a great game like this, I still have a few things I have to point out that I was not a fan of. So, this game is difficult at times, there's no denying that. However, it suffers from some odd difficulty spikes. Sometimes you'll absolutely wipe the floor with some of the enemies, and then other times you'll walk about 15 centimeters from spawning and get sent straight to hell. It feels very unfair sometimes, especially later in some of the levels. But I just said I liked it. Well, it could be confusing and a bit hard to track, now trust me. It's leagues better than Hotline Miami. Which is an absolute nightmare story-wise to track, but a big issue I have with the story is that the pacing was a bit quick, and some of the parts focused too heavily on being implied, and then if you're stupid like me, it had to pretty much tell you outright to get it. It's not a big complaint from me, but it's something I noticed. Everyone who has played this game has complained about the length of the game. While I can say that length is certainly short, the game is sweet enough to justify the short story. And the game is certainly replayable, so that is a plus. Also, there's a sequel coming out next year according to the game. It says to be continued, so maybe we'll get a Longsword 1 for next year. There are literally 4 bosses in this game, one of them being a vehicle. It's not really great how some enemies just get a basic reskin, like a gangster with that gun will become a prison guard with a gun, and some of the enemies I just don't like Skinny Ricky and the Riot Shield dude. There could be so much more diversity with who you're fighting, and they could make some incredible foes that are unique. However, I do really like the characters behind the bosses. Even if they're one stage, they're interesting and well designed, and they're memorable, because you could just talk about any of their characteristics and anyone who's played the game will be like, oh yeah, I know that boss. In all, I was genuinely surprised with how good Katana Zero was. I thought I was picking up another decent indie game with good reviews, because that's a lot of Steam, and sometimes you'll just find an indie game that's pretty good, but it has overwhelmingly good reviews and it's just not really that deserved. But the positives far outweigh the negatives. If you see this game on sale and you've been wanting a fresh experience while playing games, do not hesitate to pick it up. I promise that this game has definitely made it up there with some of my most favorite games ever made, and it is worthy of that rank. I give this game a score of 47 of 50 on the Taco Tally. Easily one of the best games I've played in the last decade. Thank you for stopping by my first episode of the Taco Tally. I wanted to make a review for a long time on things I play, and I do plan on making more episodes on just games that I've picked up recently and am playing, because I just like making videos that I review things. I like making reviews and I like giving people my opinion on what I think. So thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you probably in like 45 months.